Okay, so this evening's work is going to be getting the fan belt on this, putting an old water pump on there, just so we can test the charging system. So we'll get that old water pump on. We don't need a gasket or anything like that, we're not going to put the coolant or radiators on for that. So we're just going to quickly put it on and put the pulley on it. That's about all we want to do. Okay, got a big long bolt here. Okay, so this goes on with the drain down to the bottom. So that's fairly straightforward. And then we'll be able to fire on her when the fan belt's there. I'll see if the fan belt came with this, I don't know. Now it doesn't have to be savage tight or anything like that, just snug. Could be coming off, getting replaced with a new one. Okay, so now let's go and whip them off next and get the pulley ready. These 4 half-inch UNF have to come out. So using these drills are handy. Well, impact guns, but just using them just to help spin things off quicker. Saves a bit of time. I'm just trying to use the bloody thing because I don't really. So these are offset, there's wide and there's narrow, so you just have a look and see which way it goes on. Okay, I'm just going to quickly go and get the fan belt because we probably might be able to put the fan belt on there. Okay, so this is the old one off my gold belly. So we'll just see, because I've placed the one on the gold belly. We'll be able to get it all on handy. Yeah, we will, I think. So that's alright, we'll go ahead then and put in the nuts. It'll be a little bit awkward because the pulley will spin with it. I think we're right, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay, swap sockets for 1/2 inch. Give that a little nip just to make sure everything's snug, that's all. Ah, yeah. That will be fine. That'll do it. Okay, so we'll get it onto the crank, drive pulley first, and then Let's see if that dynamo wants to just... Oh, that's very tight. You're just getting a bit of a slackening on this. Is it at the end? It's at the end of its tether. Ah, it'll go on over, let's say. A bit of pulling. I have to get a screwdriver involved or something. It's not great adjustment on that dynamo. I know when I was fitting my own one, I actually had to remove the dynamo and twist it inwards and then fit it. Well, I think we'll get this on. This is fairly well stretched. Just get a screwdriver and hopefully lever that on over that. I'll just say it's taken off the dynamo. Right. It's a bit more awkward than you think because you have to, the pulley keeps moving. I have to take off the dynamo wheel, but we're very, very close. There we are. Okay, so now we can just tension this up a bit. Wow. That should definitely be enough for testing purposes. By God, I tell you what, it doesn't belong tensioning. Let's give it a nip here on the other two bolts of the diamond. Just keep everything steady. That's okay. Give it the best chance possible. Okay, that'll definitely do the trick. Okay, so we're a little bit more complete there, as much as it's probably only going to be provisional. I think that water pump, the bearings feel bad in it. Could be perfect. I just have the battery on trickle charge because it's been used a lot, the likes of this project, compression tests and stuff, and it hasn't really been charged. So what can we say now? So if anyone is just tuning in now and didn't see yesterday evening's video, we were just getting the likes of the key ignition and the charge light on the far side there wired in, along with this old, very old solenoid with the brass push button on it that doesn't push because it's seized, and that has just been used as I said yesterday's video, just as a template so I can continue wiring till we get a new solenoid. I could take the one off my own if I wanted, but no, we can cross that solenoid. The rest of the wiring will work with that not working, as this connection here from your battery lead on the solenoid there feeds two wires, as you can see there. It feeds your ignition switch and it feeds your A connection on the voltage regulator. So basically your charge will run into that, running to your battery through that. So what I might do is try it for a start by crossing the solenoid, something I haven't done in a very long time, I'm happy to say, but we're going to have to do this evening. Cross the solenoid and check and see are we charging. So by charging, what I mean is this light should go out after you give it a reasonable amount of revs, and then when you let off the revs it normally comes back on. I could show you on my own gold belly, but it's missing its battery. So that's grand. We'll give it a cold start. I haven't done a cold start on this yet that I've recorded. I've actually only done one that I haven't recorded. So we'll see how it goes. Okay, cold start. Threw a drop of petrol into it. Turn the petrol on. Put out the choke. Okay. Throttling should be alright. Turn on our ignition. And the key light is on. Cross the solenoid. chokes off. Strange without the rod, choke rod. Okay, our charging light isn't going out with revs. So that tells me, turn off the engine. That tells me that our dynamo is bad or regulator box is bad. One or the other. So we can diagnose both. I can take this off, take off the cover and put down a cloth so it doesn't hurt and see what's happening. I'll turn off the petrol there as well. See what's happening. We should see the cutout switch points kind of closing when it's revved enough. We can check that. But what I will do is I think I'll check the dynamo first with a voltmeter and see. We should have something coming out of there. Over this side here, let's turn the work lamp on. We should be able to at least earth. We should be able to earth the dynamo. I don't have this plugged in at all. I don't. Should be able to earth the dynamo. And see what's happening. We should be getting a reading of some kind off it. Okay, so we'll be able to get, yeah, we can get take a connection on the voltmeter off. Geez, I'll tell you one thing, that does not take long to get hot. Vaporizer manifold. We can take a reading off D, I think, if I earth it to, we'll go for our earth point. Start it and see, it's making a bit of racket, all right. The bearings aren't great. Or we can try and polarize it. I think that's what I'll do first. Polarize it for negative earth. Start it again and have the voltmeter ready. I don't know, should I have those leads on? I'll probably leave them leads on. And we'll see. I'm fairly sure these need a supply of power to energize it. So yeah, that's what we'll do. We'll polarize it quickly first, and then I probably should have done that anyway, but I'm fairly sure it's probably running negative earth anyway, but we'll polarize it and then we'll have that much done. To polarize a dynamo for negative earth, we'll take off both leads. Be careful because D could be live. Back. Yeah, you can both down. And we take a wire from the positive terminal on the battery. So that's a positive terminal there. Just touch it off there. And this is also known as flash. So we see this wire hopefully is long enough. And a little flash, 1, 2, 3. So I'll show you that from the side here where you can actually see the little sparks. And that's basically telling the field coils, you know, that we want it to put out, we want the dynamo to put out positive earth. Sorry, positive power, not negative earth. Okay, so one end of the wire on your positive battery cable. That exhaust is very, very hot for the little amount of time it was running. Okay, a few times like that. Don't need to leave it sitting on it, just make sure there's a good clear spark. So that's polarized. So now we can put back on our wires. Only put them on one way because one's big wide connection and the other's a small connection. Okay, That is way too loose. Okay, let's get it. Pliers and give that a squeeze. Must have been the way I took it off. It's definitely after getting a lot looser. So that it didn't feel too bad when I took it off. Anyway, it should be a lot better now when we go. Yeah. Oh, that's lovely, yeah. That one is perfect. Imagine it worked now, huh? Anyway, we're going to go through the motion of troubleshooting this anyway. Our needle valve in our float seems to be sealing up nicely after we did a bit of work on it. I didn't actually record it, what I did on that. Right, so I'm just going to go and get a voltmeter and see if we can get a reading from the D connection to earth and see what's happening. I'm just going to quickly start it again. I have my voltmeter there ready and we'll see what's happening then. Shouldn't need drunk. Okay, I don't know, was that visible? But it wasn't putting out much more than 4.7 volts from the dynamo. I'm trying to think if I don't have a spare dynamo here. Regardless. Okay, could be the voltage regulator either. Could be the voltage regulator's problem. Maybe what we should do is take off the voltage regulator, take the cover off it. I already had a video of this on my own Gold Belly where I actually had it running with that cover off, and we could see the cutout switch doing its thing. Yeah, I'll go down a bit of a rag there. See what's happening. I think that's probably going to be the best idea. I want to see that cutout switch closing and joining up the dynamo to the battery. And if we see that happening, well, we're good in one way. So let's see, we're definitely not starting off the sunlight. No. It's nice to be able to turn the engine off with the key anyway, that's for sure. Our coil's not getting hot around like that. Okay, so turn off our fuel. I'm not going to use her for a while. And I think the next port of call is take him off. Okay, so the mission is take it off, take the cover off it, sees that voltage cutout switch cutting in as it should. That is our mission. And if it is, we can have a fiddle around with these two nuts here. But I have a feeling that's not the case, it's not working. This is an old regulator, like I've actually come across another regulator I have there that was definitely working. So I can fit that. I didn't actually see it was in a box. So we have a battery cable off, of course, because we don't want things shorting and all of that. So we've just got to bolt back on our earth. That's one thing we have to do, otherwise it definitely won't be working. Well, actually, before we might just have a go taking off this cover. I think there's just one there that I bent over. That could need a bit of convincing, or it'll come off easy. No, it'll come off easy. Okay. And some of the other side might need a little bit more convincing. That's why we didn't put the cover on full, all them tabs the whole way around. It was going to be a job that we'd be doing. Everything was working perfect. And there we go. So, we have to turn it around this way. I'm going to be a little bit stuck for space because the earth wire is fairly short, but we'll work around it. Okay. Earth wire has to go back on, so we'll put it on top of this wire and get as much length into it as possible. Okay. On with our washer, on with our 10mm nut. So we'll put a rag under this just to keep everything from anything from earthing. Start it up and see what's happening with that voltage cut in, cut out switch. Now that's definitely making an earth. Okay, keep our nuts. Okay, here the nuts fall on the other side there. So I'll just go and get that, and I'll get a rag for underneath that to make sure all those connections are safe and not unearthed. Just to show you what I'm talking about here. So the lad on the right there is your voltage cut out and cut in. When you rev the engine and turn the dynamo about a certain amount of revs, probably about 1200 revs upwards, enough power is coming into this coil that it draws this down. When it draws it down, you see them points there? It closes that. That makes a direct connection then between your dynamo and your battery, and you'll charge then. You'll put out ignition light, because all of a sudden you're not allowing the earth connection from the dynamo to the charge light. The charge light's being fed by positive power from the key and negative through the dynamo when it's not turning. When that dynamo starts kicking out enough charge, it'll slowly pull that down. Slowly. Now we can adjust the tension on that spring on the little screw on the back. So to me it feels like there's a fair tension on that. So I'd like to see that closing the points there. If not, what I can do is I can turn off the engine, back off the screw, and what that does is it'll reduce the tension on here. There's a screw there in the back. That tensions up the spring. So what I'll do is, I am only obviously starting the tractor for the engine for very short periods of time, for obvious reasons, with no cooling system. So yeah, we should be able to see this fairly quickly. Okay, back on our battery cable. Okay, ignition, and then starter. That is not doing what it's meant to do. So there should be enough revs there to put that out. Now, when we push it down, it puts out the light. Okay, so we've got to get that to push itself down. a phone call came in right there as we were recording. Sorry about that, so it just cut me off. So off with our battery cable once more, if I can find the spanner for it, and we'll get that adjustment screw on the back slackened a bit and see can we get it to open, to close them points. Now, so we're gonna, so we're sitting there from the back at 2 o'clock, so we're going to bring it half turn, and we're going to see does that make any difference. It's a bit easier. Now this might do the exact same thing again. It might just not even. Actually, we'll go. You know what we'll do? We'll go too much. We'll go 1 full turn. And that should, yeah. That might help things. Okay. So no sparks at the battery lead is always a good thing. Okay. Fuel on. Ignition on. Where's our universal starter? Here. See, does that help? I'm going to give it a bit more red. Nearly there. And it's coming off now. So that's good news. We're nearly there. So it's sparking. So it wants to. But the reason why it's sparking is it's just not enough power in the dynamo to get that to close. Or there is most likely too much tension on that spring. So we're going to give it another. So that was 1 turn. Battery leads off. Sparkling's not, is like a sign that it's nearly. So we're going to give it another half turn. Back around to 2 o'clock again. It's great to see sparks. That's a lot easier to do go now. That feels a lot more correct. Okay, this could be all it needs. Now if you had an ammeter like on a 20 diesel, what would be happening there with that sparks is the needle will be jumping, and that's when you know you're close. So that's brilliant. Looks like we might be getting there. That said, we do have to obviously then test and see what the actual dynamo is putting out. Might be putting out too little, but look, we'll see. So we have our throttle set fairly high. I just want to get this down so you can see it, because I know it's hard if you can't see it. I know I ideally need to have it on the side, but I will take off the camera if I've happened to show you. Okay, so petrol, ignition, start. So it's trying to. Now, that was very clear. You could see it lifting. So we're getting even closer, starting to flicker the charge light. So I did think as soon as I pushed that by hand that it just seemed to me to be way too tensioned. What am I saying? Way too tensioned. So we're going to go another half turn. This will be 2 full turns out. Now again, this could be that our dynamo is just not able to put out the power. You know, that could be all that's wrong here really. But the dynamo has to get energized up properly as well to work. So, you know, we can. It's never going to get energized if that's 210 like. Okay. And yes, I take the battery lead off every time, because I'll tell you one thing, If you open that with your bare hand, you'll get some bloody shock off it. Okay, so starting again at C. Nearly. Jesus, it's so close, so bloody close. It hardly needs to come off much more. I mean, this could be a weak dynamo. So we've gone 2.5 turns out from where it was. So let's go, do I say another half turn? It's starting to get very loose here, like I wouldn't like to go much more than half this. So what I might do, I have cleaned it up well. I could just need another clean up, but at least I know I'm at 3 turns. And if it's still only sparking and not putting out the charge light, I'll do a bit more cleaning. We've yet to even see what's happening over this side here. Just checking some of these connections here. That doesn't look great when there's a bit of a wire touching the coil. Anyway, right, let's try it again and see. We can always revert back to original settings now. At least we've been counting our turns. Okay. Back on, you let down the revs. Okay, and most importantly, it's not staying closed. If it is, you're going to have all your charge from your battery. It's going to leak out. So looks like we're after getting somewhere with that. The next thing is to see what is going into the battery charge wise. Sometimes with these, with the electrical system on the petrol, petrol engine, you end up having figures on the voltmeter jumping all over the place. So again, I do not like to have this running for too long at all. I'm going to check the cylinder head. If it needs a proper brake, we'll give it. No, it's perfect. I can keep my hand in. Right, so we have a battery on. So what we'll be doing is just simply running this across here. Start it, run it across here. You can see that, so lift up the camera a little bit. I'm delighted with that, but we have had to slacken it off a lot, and that could mean a weak dynamo. The dynamo is noisy, so it needs work anyway, and it needs to be opened, and probably needs new brushes and a good lead bearing. Okay, so we're sitting. The battery is low because it's been used too much and not being charged, so we're sitting around 12.8. so we'll just give it a quick start again and see if we can get that to charge. Okay, so that's not unusual seeing that jumping around. What you do is you take the higher figure of about 12.4, which it isn't at savage high revs, as you can hear. What is it, sitting there at about 14, probably 15, 1600 max. So that's not too bad. My own go belly does that as well, it jumps around. It's something to do with the electrical system, I think. So what we can do is we can turn up the chart. I have to be very careful with this because if our fan belt is slipping anyway at all on this, it's not too bad. It's loose enough. I might try and tighten it a bit more. If that's slipping anyway at all, I had this for years on my 20 diesel. I thought it was fan belt. It did everything with it, but at the same time before that I turned up the voltage regulator, and when I got the fan belt and the pulleys all sorted on it, it was throwing it way too much. So I'm just going to go and tension that a little bit more. I think we're nearly out at the max, and we'll just check it one more time, and if it's still the same, roughly about 12.4, those revs, we'll just give it a little turn on the voltage regulator side of things and try and get a little bit more power going into the battery. The fan belt is tensioned again as much as I can tension it, so let's just go and see if it'll put out any more. Oh. Okay, so you can see straight away it's going up towards 12.8 volts. So this is tensioned as much as it's going to tension, and it's still not great. You know, it can still turn. So I have a feeling we have a bit of slippage there, really, to be honest with you. The fan belt is getting warm as well, so there's definitely some slipping going on, I'd say. So that's not helping things. But for that reason, I would be inclined not to go messing with the voltage regulator side of the coil. But what I can do, if I want, I have that voltage regulator here. It's a spare one that I bought a couple of years ago. If I want to, for the crack, we can fit that and see, does it make any difference? And if it does, we probably have to go messing with our voltage regulator side, not the cutout switch side. Maybe I'll do that for the fun and just be able to say that it's either good or it's bad or it's indifferent. Maybe that would be something to do. Okay, so we're battery lead off. We can drop the camera down because we're up in the air here. So we can pull any of the wires off we want now, because at least our cutout is working well anyway, because it opens when the engine stops. So that is perfect. My suspicions are we're down to fan belt here is a big issue, and fan belt, and that's a little bit loose. Let's try it on the. So DEAF, okay. So that is D there. It's good fun, all this anyway. That is way too loose. Okay, we'll get the pliers onto the job here and give them a nip. Okay, so nip him up. That was strange, the other one did the same. As soon as we pulled it off, I must have pulled at an angle, I must have just widened it on us. So DEA, so that's D. That's good and tight now. And that's F, the far side. Not happy with that. That's going to need a nip. Okay. Still not happy with that. Give this side a nip as well. That's more like it. A, feeding the battery. It's too loose as well. That's feeding the battery through the solenoid where the battery cable is bolted on. It is a nuisance trying to get a reading from a battery when you have an electrical system, because like ignition system, like sparks, because it does affect it. The same on my old Triumph motorbike as well. Trying to get proper reading from the thing, and figures, numbers jumping all over the place, up and down and left and right. I'll give him a nip as well. So this regulator was working. I always just like to have a spare one. I just didn't realise, I didn't see it, because it was, where I keep my regulators was a box, and it was actually in a box, so that's why I didn't see it. Anyway, we'll try and keep that upwards, because it probably will affect the cut in switch. Gravity, no, I don't know, maybe it does. Okay, so we can lift up the camera again and try the, and that's also the reason why I didn't fit the old style bullet connections on the old style bullet connection voltage regulator, because it's a pain taking it all apart again every single time. So at least with these, it's just a matter of pulling off the spade connectors. Always check for a spark. If there is, there's something wrong, or you have your key ignition, you have your key turned on. Okay. Right, so voltmeter. So these figures, the numbers and the volts of this will jump up and down, but we're just going to be looking at the highest number. That's basically what we're looking at. It is a regulator, so it is going to regulate up and down. Mind you, this battery should be getting full whack, because it's not being charged and it's being used to start. So we're probably going to run out of petrol soon, I'd say, as well, but we'll see. 12.75. Okay, so the conclusion is the one we fitted is basically doing the same thing. So I was saying we're roughly around 12.75 or something like that. So there's no advantage in fitting this. And to be honest with you, these never, if you take them apart and they all look good, and you just give them a clean up, this should be perfect. But what I am going to do is I'm going to bring it over to the bench, give it another proper clean up, and we'll see if that will improve that. There was a tiny little strand of wire just where my finger is there, that positive touching that coil from when it was soldered or whatever, so that might have been affecting things as well. Maybe it wasn't, I don't know, but this is working anyway. On this side, I might have spent a bit more time cleaning the voltage regulator side. Actually, just giving the whole thing a general proper another clean up, and we'll see if we can improve it at all. Okay, so just giving it another quick clean, exactly like I did the other day. Battery leads off, that's okay. So we'll be able to just test it quickly one more time. All the connections are good on this now. After the little squeeze, all good. Ohmmeter F, ohmmeter A, that's good. And on with E for earth. We'll see, does that make a difference? If not, we might just turn up the voltage very slightly, but I have a feeling our fan belt, putting in an order of parts soon, I have a feeling the fan belt, a new fan belt, will make all the difference in the world. That's based on my own experience of lately. With my own Go belly there, and with my 20 diesel, so no sparks on the battery cable. It's one of them things you kind of keep looking out for. So we'll start it up again quickly and see if we have any improvement there on the, I'll get the volt meter. So I have to lift the camera again. So we'll lift the camera up first and have that ready. We'll see if we can get it. It's hard to know what revs we're at, but we're definitely at enough revs that we would be charging. Engine's cooled off a good bit there, not that it was hot, but just always worth checking. Right, so we'll start it. No point checking anything if the light is still on. I thought I saw a spark here, so I think our earth could be a little bit bad there. So I'm just going to give that a nip up and I'll come back. Okay, so to go up the dynamo, we're just going to have a little look inside here and see is there anything here that's red flagging it. That's fairly dirty tight anyway, that one. They usually come off with a bit of a, you usually have to use the mold grips on it. Jesus, what the hell is that around it? Is there a bit of repair work done on that or what? There was a bit of JB Weld put on that. But it shouldn't affect it. As you can see, it wasn't doing a whole lot. Okay, that's that one. On some hands we need to use a screwdriver to get these loose. We'll do a quick look in. If it's all gunked up, it's not going to be thrown out. Well, it should be thrown out. The commutator is dirty and the brushes are worn, especially if the commutator is dirty. Okay. Okay, field coil stays where it is. Got a bit of dirt coming out there already. Okay, so the brushes are good. There's nothing wrong with them. Springs are middling good. Yeah, we're okay there. That's good. You can put a bit of grease into the bushing there as well if you want, and it's probably an eyelight grease, so we'll put a bit of oil in it. Okay, we'll take a quick look at the plastic camera and just give it a tap out. Okay. Yeah, definitely benefit from a clean, but it's not too bad. We'll just see with a torch. Have a quick look in there and see. I'm going to get the torch. I want to see is there solder thrown all over it. A sure sign that a dynamo is wrecked is if you see solder thrown all over. I just want to make sure that that field file connection isn't touching earth. There's always a hand tied connection there, that's solder, that's fine. Okay, so let's just get a look at this commutator, see if we can see anything interesting. Okay, bearings have shagged on it alright, but we'll definitely be able to shove some grease down in there before we put it back together. So it's fairly worn. They're a wearing part, so I wouldn't get too fussed about that. Let's get a nice bit of sandpaper. Just give it a little clean up. I'll get a look and see. Fairly well grooved. Just looking here, the solder connections on it. Can't really see much solder on them. That's a bit worrying. Like the gaps between it, the segments there are all good and clear, like they're not full of crap, like, so each one should be doing its thing, like. Okay, I don't really see anything in there that's, you know, savagely worrying. It's not too bad. I'd say, like, personally, like, the dynamo, a better dynamo is needed. That could be where we're, you know, we're falling here, you know. We'll be struggling with the charging system because the dynamo is just not putting out. That commutator is just too worn. That could be exactly what's wrong here. And the bearing shagged and things are moving around. That'll help the bearing a bit, good grease, like good thick grease, but you can hear it, it's not great. Yeah, I don't know. If it was me now, I would go for a new or better dynamo. Or if you'd a place that you could get it done up, I'd say fair enough. Sometimes they turn these on lathe and get them nice and smooth because they are chewed up as hell. But look, it only takes minutes to take them apart, so there's nothing in there that's screaming to me anyway that there's an issue. So look, we'll go with that anyway. There should be a dimple on that there, and there it is there. Let's give this a quick blow with the air gun. Clean it. I like these to close nice and snugly, so if there's any old dirt and stuff, it just keeps them slightly opened, and everything gets loose then and stuff like that. So a good scraping off, and of course sandpaper then, it's no harm as well. Give it a bit of a shine up. As much as this could all be in vain, if it helps things you could do the tractor for a number of years, and the owner could focus on other things. Let's give it a quick dart to the air gun and I'll come back. Right, so we'll throw this down, get our dimple lined up with the hole here. Let's just do the same with this as well. Might just give it a quick clean up here, just to, and I'll blow out with the air gun as well actually when I'm at it. There's a lot of stuff built up in there. These are painted as well, some of the paint can leak down, and again it all just allows a bit of tolerances, a bit of end play and all of that, end float. Okay, I'll give that a blowout as well and we'll come back then. Okay, so because what it looks like on the voltage regulator is that it's putting out enough when we adjust the cutout switch, and it's putting out enough to close the switch, but that's because it's adjusted back so much. So I suppose if the dyno's not putting out enough, well, it's only a wonder we had to go adjusting things back a little bit to take up for that. So let's put our truss washer on here, and then might have to get in there with picks and just get that held back. Yeah, so if our dyno's not putting out enough and we have to keep adjusting the small bit of that lovely grey grease in behind that truss washer there, and we have to keep adjusting back the voltage regulator cutout switch. It's a sign that your dyno's just not putting out what it should put out. You've come off the dimple there a second now. A little bit awkward. Maybe I'm better off doing it on the bench, standing up. Maybe that's it. These aren't as bad as starter motors. They have 4 sets of brushes. So where's our dimple gone? There. There's our field coil there. So something like that. So back with one brush and back with the other. Okay, and then we line up our field coil. Sometimes that bends down out of the way. We'll get a look into the torch. And that's just after happening. I'm just going to bend it down a little bit, so we'll just bend it back towards the hole. Nearly there, come on. There we are. Okay, nearly there I think. Our dimple is lined up. Pass the camera, let's give it a tap. And there we go, we have our insulating tab come through. That's lining up lovely, that big long bolt. And so is that one, I think, has it? They usually don't go in so handy. There we go. Lovely threads in this now, in fairness. So I've got a set of brushes. No, very, very long ago anyway. They seem to look fairly fresh. Okay, so we'll throw it back in the vise and just give these a last tighten up. Someone obviously shot blasted and painted as well. The casting is very good on it. So probably put in many years of good service, but it's not an original, not the part that would have been on the Go belly when it was new. It's dated 1973. This is C40. I think the Go belly was a C39 version 2, I think. Whereas this is coming in July 0773. 0773, and she's a C40A. So that was definitely shot blasted by we painted by bearings sound a bit better than that now. It got its bit of grease. Yeah, so look, I'll fit it again, and actually when I have it off, what we'll do is we'll just give this other earthen point savage clean up, because it was loose on one side and I saw a little spark. That was basically telling me that's the earth trying to make its way. So we'll just give it a little polish it up, and we won't have any problem with earth. There we go, that's all it's going to take. Finish it with a bit of sandpaper. Because the air for the ignition and charge light comes right through your dynamo. So if it's all rusty, it ain't going to come through, is it? Right, so I'm going to fit that, no point in me recording that. And we'll give it one more start for this evening and see does that make any difference at all. I'm going to give it one more quick start, and we're just going to check and see if that made any difference. The battery voltage is dropped now to about 11, what is it at, 11.9 or something. It's getting low because it's not really getting charged. Oh, it's not too bad. So we want to see something, I suppose, you know, 12.5, 12.6, 7, 8 maybe. It's not on massive revs, obviously it's on probably 1600 revs probably, but it should be charging from about 1200. So if we're not seeing that, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. That's petrol out. So we'll just throw in a small sup. I'll come back when I have that done. Okay, let's try again. Give it a second. Battery too low, is it? Wait a second, we'll see what's going on. The battery's getting low. Okay, so what we see there is it's not charging. Yes, it is putting out enough to work our cutout switch, because I have adjusted it back to make it so easy to close. So what we need to do is get a proper dynamo for it, because as you saw there, it wasn't going any higher than the battery voltage. So What I can do if we're stuck is I can take the dynamo off my own 20 diesel. It only takes a few minutes, so that could be something we could do tomorrow evening, that I know works, and throw that on it and see if it makes any difference. And I'd say it most likely will, but at least we know our voltage regulator seems to be doing what it's meant to be doing, in that it is able to put out the ignition switch, the ignition light, the charge light on one side, but the other side is the voltage regulation. And I was watching there, I was playing around with a screwdriver there as well earlier on, and I just don't see the little sparks and the flow of electricity that you should. So yeah, the dynamo just isn't putting out enough. So look, we'll come back to it tomorrow evening. Worst case scenario, a new dynamo and a new voltage regulator box would sort it, but I suppose we're trying to work with what we have here and try and salvage. But failing that, this is minor detail. At least it's starting, at least it's running. I'm going to leave the battery on charge because it's just too low there now at the moment to start. So that's where I'm going to leave her tonight, and she'll come back tomorrow evening and we'll go at something else, I suppose, most likely dynamo related. So we'll talk then.